Hi, everyone. This is real estate coach Craig Proctor, and welcome to another episode of the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. My special guest from Colorado Springs, Colorado, is Barb Schlinker, and Barb has been a longtime Craig Proctor member. Barb, I'm so happy to have you as my guest today.
Thank you. I'm grateful to be here. It's a pleasure.
We're going to be talking a lot about referrals and how to leverage your relationships with your clients to get more business. That's something you've been really, really effective with. Maybe you can talk a little bit about what you do to encourage referrals and how you build a strong culture within your company and how the referral business has been really huge for you.
Well, I kind of integrate what you taught us, Craig, about direct response marketing with referrals by the way I do the marketing. I would say probably around 80 to 90% of my new appointments every week are people that I've never met. But the way we're doing marketing, they think they know me. And I've had people refer me that I've never met as well.
That's a huge point.
Yeah.
Everybody, Barb and I were chit-chatting. Barb and I have known each other for a long, long time, obviously. And I was asking, how's it going with your business? And Barb says, pretty much 100% of my business is just people calling me.
Yeah.
Either they're past clients, referrals inside my sphere of influence, or like you said, they're total strangers, but they don't think you're a stranger. It's so crazy that we can create this persona, this relationship with strangers. So they feel comfortable just calling you saying, yeah, I'm ready to sell my house and buy my house. It's like you've known them for a while. You started doing social media and you've really been disciplined with it to make that happen. Talk about your strategy with how do I get everyone in Colorado Springs not only to know I'm a real estate agent, but how do you do this relationship building with strangers?
Well, a lot of it's done. My main income source and my main lead source is from radio marketing, which is very expensive. But over time, the repetition, it's just like any kind of marketing, repetition builds it over time. And so I have one talent on radio that talks about me. It's just one station, but it's the biggest AM talk station in town. And then the other thing I added, and I've always wanted to do this, so I just decided I'm going to do it. I'm going to have a radio show. And it wasn't that expensive. It's 1 hour on a Saturday morning. And basically, I talk about buying and selling homes and some of the great training that you give us, Craig, like 27 tips to sell your home fast and for top dollar, 11 home inspection traps, all those kind of things are information for people that they just eat it up. And I integrate my stories of experiences to make it more colorful and interesting. And of course, the whole show has my own ads throughout. And so I have quite a following on that. And what I do is repurpose that. So it gets recorded on Zoom. It gets live streamed on YouTube. I'm really big on YouTube as far as using it. And it also gets recorded as a podcast. So we post it on our website. We're on all the major podcasts. It's just one company that we can integrate with all the podcasts out there. And I think I just went over I can't remember what it was, like 6,500 downloads, which is pretty amazing for a very targeted topic, But the whole idea is that they get to know me without ever having to talk to me. So what happens over time is when they are ready to sell, I get the call. And many times I'm the only one that gets a call. Like I'm not competing with other agents, even though they had Susie that sold in the house 30 years ago or whatever,
Yeah, that's a great feeling when you show up at their house and they have a calendar and a fridge magnet, and they go, "Oh, that's that's my last agent." But they didn't call their last agent. They didn't call their friend that sells real estate part-time. You've made yourself a celebrity in the marketplace. And the nice thing about this is, I think we all would love a situation like Barb has, where qualified buyers and sellers are picking up the phone and calling you, and they're saying, "Come and get me." And this is why this is even more important in today's world. Buyers and sellers seem to be choosing who the agent's going to be before meeting with them. Okay, so everyone hang with me. It used to be, when I got into real estate, There was no social media. I didn't have a radio show. The only people that would call me are, if I went over to their house and I got to know them that way, where I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but the beginning stages are people are going online, they're listening to the radio, and they're getting to know Barb. So this decision that Barb's going to be my realtor is almost happening before you actually get to the house. So you don't have to do as much selling on who you are or convincing or any of that stuff. More or less, I would say from the radio show and all your radio advertising, you probably hear this. Oh my God, Barb, I can't believe that you came to my house yourself, right?
Yes. I'm kind of embarrassed when they say
Yeah.
that. Like, I feel like there's a rock star here. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, no, I just paid for my fame.
Yeah, and so that's fantastic, right? When you can show up and they're like thanking you for actually being in
Yeah.
their house.
Yeah.
Um,
That's really neat.
so many real estate agents believe that to get a buyer or seller to know me, I have to call them on the phone, right? I got to buy all these leads from Zillow or Realtor. I got to buy all these leads. I got to make 100 phone calls to get somebody on the phone. And the reason I'm making the 100 phone calls to get someone on the phone is hopefully I can talk them into meeting with me. Why? That's my big chance to tell them what I do and who I am. With what you're doing, you're reaching the masses. You're reaching everyone. It's the most popular AM station in Colorado Springs. Everybody listens to it. And I love the fact that you've got the DJ endorsing you.
Right.
Right. The DJ is like, well, I don't know if I got this exactly right, but if I was selling my house here in Colorado Springs, I would use my good friend Barb, and then he goes into all the reasons. So that's even better than you having to go on and saying, I'm Barb, and here's why I'm great, and he's actually doing the heavy lifting for you. He's saying, first of all, there's trust. My friend Barb,
Right.
and here's what she's going to do, and here's why Barb's different, and here's why Barb is better. With the radio show, you really have positioned yourself as the expert. I mean, real estate is something people are just interested in. Like you have people listening to your radio show who perhaps aren't even in the market to buy or sell right now. People are just generally interested in real estate. So you're incubating these people. Maybe, people get to know you a year or 2 or 3 years before they actually make the move, but they're listening to this all the time. And if they're not making a buy or sell move themselves, you know what they're doing? They're talking to their coworkers. Oh, you're thinking of selling? You should call Barb. She's the expert. The end result of all this is there is no cold calling. There's no door knocking. There's no chasing. When I asked Barb before we got started, how are things going? She goes, yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty much where I'm at now is I'm just having really qualified people calling me. There's no outbound calls. They're all calling me.
That's
I want
right.
everyone to think about how important that is too, because, let's say there's somebody in Colorado Springs. I can't imagine this is even true, but if they didn't care for Barb or whatever, well, guess what? They're not watching the radio show and they're not calling Barb. Now, the opposite's true though. The only people that are calling Barb saying, come and list my house are totally pre-sold. And, there's no uphill battle selling. We're not discounting commission. The best of the best people are coming forward. Let me know in comments, how many of you would be interested in having a business like that? How would you like to learn how to do this? Before we got started, Barb said, I finally got to the point where I don't have to go out on all the appointments myself.
Yeah.
Barb has a very good problem. Here's her problem. She's got so much business coming at her, so many buyers and sellers that want to do business with her. She can't physically go out to all the appointments. So Barb was saying before we got started, she said, I've got a right-hand person that I have personally trained and mentored to help me with some of the appointments. And it's working. And, Barb and I are like, well, that's good news because now we can find somebody else and somebody else. So if you are a real estate agent in Colorado Springs and you like what this sounds like, imagine this. If you partnered up with Barb, and you have to have the right stuff. Barb's not like, looking to hire anybody. You've got to check a few boxes, okay? You got to be coachable and trainable, and you got to be able to follow a system and have some other boxes we need to check. But if you're the right person, this is how this deal would work. you're in Colorado Springs, so you already know, everybody knows Barb. She's got an overflow business. The arrangement would be, if Barb felt you were the right person, she would invest all kinds of time to coach you and train you on how to do this the way Barb does it. You would literally get listing appointments and buyer appointments. No catch. You would get listing appointments and buyer appointments. Here's what you would not have to mess around with. You would not have to cold call, door knock. You wouldn't have to buy leads. You wouldn't have to sit in open houses. You wouldn't have to do all the things you don't like. That actually, none of that really makes money. You would be partnering with a mentor that's going to provide you a system and provide you a steady stream of buyers and sellers. If you're in Colorado Springs, I want you to reach out to Barb. You don't need to call Craig Proctor. Barb has worked with me now for over a decade. Everything that you want to do in real estate, Barb's already doing it. Now, if you're not in Colorado Springs and you want to learn how to do what Barb is doing, I'm going to recommend that you contact me, and you can book a call with me by going to proctorcall.com. We'll have that in the comments below, proctorcall.com. And Barb, what would be the best way for Colorado Spring realtors to, I mean, they're going to find you everywhere. It's kind of a stupid question, actually. How about this? Just Google real estate or Colorado Springs real estate or Barb, and or barbhasthebuyers.com. You can go there. I probably don't have to tell a Colorado Springs realtor how to get a hold of Barb. Here's the other thing too, is I get it. Barb's your competitor, and don't let that stand in the way. You know the old saying, if you can't beat them, join them. Maybe you're competing up against Barb, and maybe like you even kind of despise her success. Set that aside and think about what would be best for you and your family. Check out this. Do not prejudge any of this. This is real. You can have a business where you make a lot of money by using attraction instead of cold calling, door knocking, and all the garbage that they teach us to do when you get into real estate. So Barb has a presentation. We're going to share that presentation because we want to give everyone value today. Okay. We want this to make sense. We want to explain the potential for all of you here in real estate, whether you join up with me or you join up with Barb. And when you join up with Barb, you're joining up with me, and in a way, and you join up with me, you're joining up with Barb, because we're a big family here that share our success. And we've got, you know, some of the top agents all over North America as part of the Craig Proctor Network. So if you joined us a bit late, we're going to be talking about how to get referrals, how to leverage yourself, and how to build a real business. So I'm going to let Barb take it over, and Faith here that you can't see is going to be advancing the slide. Say hi to everybody, Faith. There's Faith in the background. Well, she's there. Hello. She's shy. Oh, hello, Faith.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And actually, I learned all this from Craig. What he teaches is spectacular and always ahead of what's going on in the industry right now, always cutting edge. I've tried these other coaches out there years ago, and it wasn't a good fit for me. That's the nicest thing I could say about it. But the most important part is it didn't bring me business. The other part that for me was very shocking when I came from, I was in the military. I was a regional airline pilot for one glorious year, and then our son came along. So we moved here and I got into real estate. And the biggest shock to me was there's no how-to. I mean, in the military world, there's a how-to for everything, checklist for everything, the same with the aviation world, but it's not true in real estate. It's still to this day. I've been in since the mid-late 90s. And I will tell you that I was really surprised where you go get your license, you hang your license with a broker. There's no training, no standardization, no how to get business, which is probably one of the most important things I think a new agent should learn. You can only go so far leveraging people you know. And the other thing was I had to just, it was sort of like this baptism by fire. And my first year was awful. I'm surprised I stayed with it. And it slowly, very slowly built over time, which is a waste of your time. You know, the unfortunate facts are that 87% of real estate agents get out of the business every 5 years. That's pathetic. And it doesn't have to be that way. There's plenty of business for everyone. So anyway, so that what I learned from Craig was how to market, because when I moved here, I didn't know anybody. I didn't have a big sphere of influence around me. I had a few family members that I got a few sales from, but other than that, I had to start from scratch. And of course, the other agents in my office didn't want to share with me what they're doing because I was effectively a competitor. So I ran across one of Craig's ads and I'm like, how is he doing that? I want to learn more. And the first time I went to one of his events, I'm like, this is awesome. I'm all in. That's been 20 years and I'm still all in. So it's never gotten boring. It's always cutting
Now,
edge.
has it been 20 years? I said 10 years because I wasn't sure whether it was 10 or 15,
Yeah,
but time flies. 20 years. Amazing.
it's 20 years. I think it's 20 years this August. You had a conference in Orlando, Florida that I went
Yep.
to.
Yeah, so that would have been 2004,
Yeah,
24 years ago.
yeah,
Amazing.
that's really neat. So, so what I was going to share with you today is, so where have I come? And we've seen the market change. We're about to see the market change here very soon with all the rules with the NAR settlement. And it's going to be difficult for agents to get signed agreements, a lot more difficult. And part of the problem is they don't teach you how to articulate your value. And Craig has taught me that. And I just do it on different platforms. I do it on YouTube. I do it on the radio. I do it some with direct mail, although I'm going to grow that piece of the marketing here now that I have plenty of closings so I can fund it. But just with the few things that I've been doing, this particular slide we're looking at, these aren't leads. These are actually appointments. Okay. We don't buy leads from Zillow. I do on one platform, just a little bit, just to keep it flowing. But these are all people calling me, Barb, send somebody on Barb's team to come list my house. My best lead source is actually radio. We also have some from Zillow and some are referrals, et cetera, right? But the point is, this is year to date, just halfway through the year. And it's too much for one person. I am starting to give out appointments to other agents and they're doing better than I would. So I'm really excited about it.
Hey, Richard Randall here. You know that this is the best time of year to sell. I invited Barb Schlinker with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty to join us. Barb?
Thanks, Richard. Over the last 2 decades, we've developed some unique consumer programs that help sellers solve some of their toughest challenges. One of our most popular programs right now is our 1-hour home sale. We are so confident in our system that we will guarantee in writing to sell your home at your price, or I'll personally pay you the difference. So that's just an example of some of the ads that we're running all the time on radio. Next slide. We also got some of our customers to do audio testimonials for me, which is really powerful. It's like third-party endorsement, but having one of my clients say it on the radio is pretty cool. We're also marketing on some social media platforms. I'm not really a big Facebooker just because I got put on restriction. I've never solved the problem, so whatever. But I'm very focused on YouTube and Google. Google My Business gets a lot of activity. And these are people that are out looking for real estate agents, right? And they've landed on my profile, which is great. So we get calls from that. Next slide will show you the number of calls just from Google Business Profile, which is another free thing that you can do. And then go 2 slides down, Faith, I want to show you something else. We figured out that on our Google Business Profile, we could put our listings on there as products, and they get way more views than me. They're not looking for me. They're looking for houses or they're looking at our ads. So these are very effective. Again, a free service that you can do. Next slide. So this is just some examples of leveraging our current listings to get more business. So we will take our listings that we have. We'll post a link to a video of some of our hottest listings. And that gets people calling us. So from just that listing, as an example, from our open house, we got 2 listing appointments. We listed 1, we double-ended the sale, and we've got more coming just from 1 hour open house, right? So
Amazing.
it works really well. Next slide. These are just examples of, I have a web team. I don't do the Google stuff because it's not my skill set. The whole technology thing is a little bit hard for me.
I think that's important you say that, and everyone understands that you don't need to know how to do it or want to do it yourself. You can hire someone to do it. I hear too many times from real estate agents like, yeah, well, I don't do this because I don't know how to do it or I don't want to do it. This is where leverage comes into play.
Right.
It's impossible to know how to do everything or even have time to do everything. And there's a lot of things that even if you have time to do it, you shouldn't be doing it. So
Yeah.
this is a great example of Barb saying, you know what, it's not my thing. I don't know how to do it, but I don't care. I know what I want to get done. I'm going to hire somebody to do that part for me.
Right. And so what I've learned about um, marketing, it's not just one platform or one ad campaign or one postcard. It's kind of the I see you everywhere sort of
Hmm.
approach that we're trying to take, because people need lots of reminders, especially with the so many gazillion distractions that we have these days: social media, YouTube, the phone, TV, whatever. So Google, what I experience when I go out on listing appointments is that they'll tell me, even though they heard me on the radio, they almost look embarrassed and they go, I checked you out on Google
Right. Yep.
to make
Yeah.
sure I was legit. That's why things like getting 5-star reviews is very important. Um, but yeah, it's kind of an integrated thing, and you just have to do as much as your budget can allow to be noticed and be found, because it starts with the ad, especially if they don't know you, and then they're going to research you online and make sure it's legit. That's the way people act these days.
Now,
Next.
you said something I want to bring up. You said do as much advertising as your budget will allow.
Right.
And I want to be clear that Barb's a very good marketer and she's making her best effort to track every dollar she spends. Now, we do admit with the way Google is working right now, it is harder to track because, as Barb just mentioned, a lot of buyers and sellers are listening to my radio show, but
Right.
they perhaps don't call the phone number I give on the radio show. They check me out and they Google me. And so that's why we have to do a little bit of digging, which Barb does when she has a client call her. She wants to do a little bit of digging. Okay, you came in through Google, or maybe I noticed your website. A lot of leads come from your website,
Mhm.
which we want to, do a bit of investigating. You say, okay, you came in through my website, you came in through Google, but maybe you first heard me on the radio show. The truth is it all works together. As Barb says, so many times when you go to their house um, and you say, honestly, I'd like to know where you came from, they can't really tell you because you're in so many different places that it all works together to cause that result of them just saying, hey, you're everywhere. And by the way, I'm so happy to have you in my home. I can't even believe you're here. You're here
Yeah.
in my house, which is super cool. But we
It-
try to track our return on investment on everything we do so we can decide what to do more of and what to do less of.
Yeah, that's true. And I think you taught us, how to manage your budget, because it's easy to get out of control on the marketing front. I love the marketing part, but technically you're supposed to spend about 10% GCI. And I think gross commission income. I think agents spend very little money on marketing. That's what I've heard on studies, like less than $100 a month. To be honest, Craig, when agents are showing my listings, very, very few of them in an occupied home leave a business card, which I
Mm.
don't get that. It's like, this is your opportunity to shine, you know? Why aren't you leaving a card? And they're not expensive. So I don't understand why they don't do it, but that used to be, it was an industry norm and standard that we had years ago. But I have to warn the sellers, hey, even though they're going to be in your home, they don't be surprised if they don't leave a card. And it's
Yeah.
sad to me.
Yeah, strange. I mean, we would always leave 2 or 3 cards, and our business cards are very aggressive with our marketing. You know, we leave a business card behind, and it'll say your home sold, or we'll buy it, or move up to one of our listings, we'll buy yours, or how about this? Barb has all the buyers in town. We're very aggressive on all of our marketing, including business cards. But I think here's what happens to, you're pondering, why don't agents spend more money on marketing? It could be a couple things. First of all, they just maybe perhaps don't believe in marketing, that, if I spend $1, I'm going to make $10 or $100. They've tried marketing before. It's not been effective. Barb and I are not suggesting in any way at all that all marketing is going to get you a good return. There's a lot of very bad things being taught and said about marketing. We're not talking about, standing next to your golf clubs or with your dog on your lap, or bragging about how you're number one or you really care about your clients. Notice that all of Barb's marketing, as Barb said, they're not calling me. Okay. They are associating Barb with a very powerful thing that they want. But all of her offers are based on things that buyers and sellers really want. We've all tried this before, right? We've tried believing that they want a real estate agent, they want us. Barb goes along with the package. The reason they call Barb is they want to find out how to sell their home for the most amount of money. They want to learn about Barb's guarantees. They believe that Barb has more buyers in the city than anyone else. So the key to branded advertising is associating a very specific and tangible benefit with you, the person. Now, we also do less branded marketing, where Barb's not really attached to the marketing. It's just offering things that buyers and sellers want. The good news about this, if you're in Colorado Springs and you partner up with Barb, you actually wouldn't need to know anything about marketing. So if you're watching this right now, it's like, okay, that's great, but that's not really my interest. My interest as a real estate agent is I just want to go list a whole bunch of houses in Colorado Springs, or I want to go work with buyers that want to buy. Barb will give you those. And before she hires you and gives those, you'd have to be the right person, and you'd have to be coachable and trainable. Now, you might ask, well, why would Barb spend that kind of time and effort and energy to mentor me? Well, the honest truth is, the better you are, the more effective you are, the more money you're going to make, and the more money Barb's going to make. She's at a point here where she's doing all she can do, but she's still growing her business and bringing in so much business that she can't possibly do it all. Now, she's got 2 choices. Barb could say, okay, look, I'm maxed out. I only have so many hours in the day, so many days in the week. I could turn down my marketing, right? And just keep Barb busy. Or now that she understands how to leverage this thing and make it really big, we can provide opportunity for other realtors. I mean, it is such a great opportunity. Like, Barb's been with me as a student, studying me for 20 years. And everyone in Colorado Springs that's open to being mentored, you will not find a better mentor than Barb. Like, you see her every single day. If I was in Colorado Springs, honestly, especially if I was a couple years into the business, I would latch onto this opportunity. I'd say, this is my mentor. This is the person who is going to lead me and train me. And there is so much money to be made net in your pocket if you just find yourself a mentor that's put in the 20 years and the time to be an expert at this. So just a plug there for Barb. Again, if you're in Colorado Springs, reach out, okay? Have a conversation with Barb. Do not have any preconceived notions about this. There is so much business out there. There's enough money for all of us to make money, honestly. Okay, so back to our presentation. We're going to share a few more slides here, folks. And by the way, if you have questions, we will answer them. Either Barb or I will answer your questions. It might not be while we're live here, but we promise we'll get back to you. Go ahead and type your questions or comments into the comments below. I would love to hear from some of you from Colorado Springs. I'd like to hear from some of you say, well, yeah, Of course, we know who Barb is, right? She dominates the marketplace here. I'd like to also hear from others that say, you know what, I'd like to be the Barb in my marketplace. I would like to learn how to be the dominant agent. It's there, folks. If you really got to know Barb and I, you would realize that we work hard, but there's nothing really like special about us other than we love the business. We love marketing. We've been students of this game for a long, long time. And we're willing to share what we know with other people because we do believe in abundance. So Faith, let's share some more slides. We'll do a bit more, but do let us know what you're liking about our podcast here today, or maybe what you don't like. Let us know your questions and your comments, and we will respond to all of them. Okay, next slide, please.
I'm glad you brought that up, Craig, because that's true. If you come on board with us, you don't have to spend money on marketing. We're just going to hand you appointments. It's just that simple. I just hired one a month and a half ago. She's had 5 closings so far. And 3 of them were ones that I handed to her. So she's real happy.
Yeah.
Okay, so how the Google ads are doing. I got this from the web team. They're saying that my paid ads are showing up above Zillow and Realtor.com quite a bit, which is kind of impressive to me.
That's great.
Those are the big players in the world. Next slide. Okay, this is the number of clicks on my website, barbhasthebuyers.com, for the month of June. Not people that saw it, but people that clicked on it.
Well,
And
almost 10,000 clicks.
yeah. So that's pretty good just for, one little real estate company here in Colorado Springs. Next slide. Okay. And then search terms, the web guy likes this. The way this happened, like to have my very unusual name, Barb Schlinker, be a search term is kind of surprising, but it's because they're hearing it on the radio, they're starting to search it. For you to rank it all with these words in Google means that a lot of people searched on it. So I think that's pretty interesting. But I use the word Zillow a lot. I used to be resistant to Zillow. We don't buy leads from Zillow. We do use Zillow Showcase solely because it puts my name at the top of my listings ads versus the bottom. But a lot of people are talking about Zillow. I would say 9 out of 10 sellers, when we go through the script that you taught us, when people call and ask to talk to us about selling their home, we actually have a system built into our CRM that the whole team, so I have a couple of employees in the office, they know exactly what to say when the call comes in based on the script and the plan and the questions to ask, because we want them to feel like we care about their home, not just, hey, yeah, we'll come over. We're asking them some specific information, like, do you have any idea what your home is worth? And we ask that because I want to know what is it in their head about what they think the home is worth before I get there. First of all, it may not matter, but almost always the response is, well, Zillow says my home is worth X. So I have used the word Zillow a lot in my podcast and in my radio show and marketing because it's very searchable. Google likes it, and it gets all my other media up higher. Next slide.
Very smart. How many of you love the fact that Barb has every procedure so well thought out? And Barb, what you said earlier when we began our podcast here, you were talking about I was in the military and we had systems and we had procedures. And then I was an airline pilot, and airline pilots have a flight plan. They don't wing it, right? And then you get into real estate. And it's basically like, okay, here's your license, go do it. And you're like, well, where's the procedures? Where's the, how do we do this? And there is no how we do it. We have to literally figure this out on our own.
Right. And that, I talk about that a lot on the radio. I'm like, it's the only job I've ever had where there is no job description, no standardization, no procedures. So we had to create them. And people really like it. They like a plan. They like a system. So this is just, we also have, as part of the web team, one guy just does, he blogs for me. So you probably heard this, oh, you should blog, that gets you found on the internet, which is true. But do I have time to do it? No. So he takes the recordings of the radio segments, he has them digitized probably by AI, and writes blogs all the time for my website. And that's really helped. I've gotten leads from it. Google and Google's AI source are using my blogs as considered an expert for that particular topic that people are looking for, which is really kind of cool. Next slide. On the website, this is the Barb Has the Buyers website. What we do, we drive a lot of traffic there. An awful lot of people will actually go and put in their contact information. This is what I was talking about, how they have to chase me down. The type of leads I get most often are, what's my home worth? And get a cash offer on my home. And sometimes they fill out other things, right? So there is a follow-up, and we've been expanding our systemization of that, because sometimes they'll register on the website, which, just to back up a little bit, for a consumer to put their contact information on the website is scary for them. Did you know that, Craig?
Yeah, I believe it. And it didn't used to be that way. It used to be prospects weren't afraid to do that, but now they know what's going to happen. Oh, I better be sure if I put my first of all, maybe I won't put my real contact information in there. They're afraid of what's going to happen when they give that information up. And that's why you got to offer something really, really important. So they want to, and they want to give you the correct information.
Right. So I have systemized the signups on the website, that they're going to get a thank you. They're going to get an email from us, just a touch, to say, hey, thanks so much for visiting. We're actually going to reach out and get the information that you asked for. So it's not like this is an automation, right? And if you want to book a quick call with Barb, click right here. So that's been very effective, because they basically put themselves on my Google schedule, and I'm like, oh, I got to make a call. I guess I better do that. So, but those almost always lead to listing appointments, which I'm pretty happy about. Next slide is.
If we can stay there for 1 sec, I just want to go back to those stats. Did everyone notice it says buyers in our database, 27,882. More money for our clients. So on average, Barb is selling homes for $20,520 more than the average home on MLS. And we sell homes 66% faster. So how many of you would like to be able to say that? Okay, these are real buyers, by the way, that are in Barb's database. So first of all, how do I get the buyers? Then how do I leverage off the buyers to get the sellers? Remember, sellers want buyers. We think, well, sellers want to list their home. Not really. Sellers want to get their house sold. And Barb has the buyers. And I love barbhasthebuyers.com. Everyone say that with me. barbhasthebuyers.com. You want to find Barb, go to barbhasthebuyers.com. And if you lived in Colorado Springs, you would hear that over and over again. barbhasthebuyers.com, barbhasthebuyers.com. So just offering people what they want, and that repetition. You can see why when Barb gets to your house, you're like, wow, this is a celebrity. This is barbhasthebuyers.com sitting in my foyer. Okay, yeah. Let's go to the next slide here. We'll keep it going. Make sure you type in your questions, your comments. We're giving you a lot of good information today. I think you would agree. We're actually not just talking at you. We're actually showing you how this is done.
Yeah. So the June stats, this is just the number of impressions. I think I understand that it means if somebody searched for a real estate agent or whatever, the search terms that we saw, that's how many times my website showed up somewhere in their view. And then we've gotten, so it's almost 700,000 just for the month of June, and almost 10,000 clicks, people clicking into the site and want to learn more. So they've been very effective. I'm real happy with that web team. Next slide. Okay, so this is one of my lead sources that leads to listings, appointments and listings. One of my best ones is people asking what their home is worth. Now, to me, this is really interesting. I remember there was a website probably 10 years ago, Craig, I can't remember the name of it, where they said, oh, we're gonna kind of do this less branded here, get your home value here type of website. And we could not connect. I paid for those leads. I could not really connect with them. They were very difficult. It's a little bit different here. And you wonder why people are asking their value if they tell me on the phone, Zillow says my home is worth X. I think it's because of skepticism. They don't believe what Zillow is saying. They don't believe what all these automated values are saying. They want to know the real truth. And so we actually we create, they go in and say they want their home value. We will actually send them an initial email followed by one that says, the subject line, if you want to go to the next slide, is basically your home, thank you for your request. I receive your request. Here's a range of where we think homes like yours are selling. I have a link to a little 2-minute video talking about how we list and sell homes. But to get a better idea of what your home is really worth, we'd have to meet in person. Plus, I'll, give you tips on what to do and what not to do to get the most money when you sell your home. And hey, if you have any questions, see that arrow right there? Book a quick call with Barb. That's been amazingly effective because I'm not calling these people. And that little green circle up there at the top, that indicates that customer opened it, I think 3 times. In my CRM, it tells me they opened the email.
Yep, great tracking.
Yeah, and then this right here, click to schedule a quick call with Barb. That is a link to software called Calendly, and it connects directly to my Google Calendar, and they can put themselves on my calendar to talk to me directly about selling a home. And that all I'd say 9 times out of 10 ends up with a booked appointment and a listing in my hand.
I really like that because it's easy and non-threatening for the seller. Like they don't have to have a real estate agent over to their house. They go book an appointment with you, and this is done on Zoom, I assume.
It's
Or
just
doing it over the
that
phone.
one's just a phone call. It's just a phone
just a phone call. Okay.
And it's a real short call. It's just, tell me a little bit about your house. And if they are looking to sell, then I just go right through that script, just as if they were calling into the office and book an appointment if they are right now business.
Okay. So some people that would book this call would just be maybe curious and not motivated to sell. So you're determining that. What is their motivation and timing? So if they're not that motivated, you might give them a ballpark figure of what their house is worth. And if they are motivated and their timing is now, the next step is I could give you a more accurate assessment by looking at your property. And then boom, you're sitting at the kitchen table.
Yeah, it's great. All right, next slide is just kind of the bottom end. Oh, this one. So within our CRM, right now we're using Follow Up Boss, but I know Craig is building out really cool CRM, which I can't wait to implement. But basically, Follow Up Boss doesn't work exactly the way we want it to work, but so we had to make some manual changes. And this right here is just what we call our little tracking system, where once they call in for an appointment, they get in the category of appointment set, then appointment met, whether or not the next one would seller did not sign, or they got a signed agreement, or they're coming soon, or they're listed, or they're pending, or they're closed. So each time we move the customer forward in that deal flow, they get a video from me talking about where they're at in the process. Even if they didn't sign, they get a thank you video from me, because you never know. They might sign with another agent and then be disappointed and call me back, right? So it does happen sometimes. So we have a way, and this was one of my ideas in order to grow the business so other agents can come on board and actually do, take the appointments and get the listings. As we move them through the process, they're also getting a video from me talking about that particular part of the process. As an example, coming soon. Okay, by now you should have met with the stager. We're getting your pictures ready. We're getting everything prepared to go on the market. And then maybe when we move to listing, okay, we're going to probably do the open house unless you don't want to do an open house. But then this is what you can expect from showing appointments, because they're not going to remember everything I said the first meeting. There's no way, right? It's just too much information, and they might remember 10% of it. This gives them video updates of where they are through the process. And the thing that's interesting is the CRM will tell me if they opened it. And they always open it and they watch the video, which is really kind of cool.
What I love, a couple of things I love about this. First of all, as a pilot, you love checklists, right? This makes total sense to you that any seller would want to know what stage we're at, what do we need to know right now, what's going to happen next. And I love the fact that whether they're seller number 1 or seller number 1,000, every seller is having the same communications happen in the exact same order over again. So you can create this perfect communication and experience with every single client, even if you're on vacation.
Right.
So there's no dropping the ball. I think realtors watching this, you would agree. If you've got one seller, well, that's pretty easy. Okay, I can, keep up with one seller. But now your business starts to grow and you have 5 sellers, you have 10 sellers. You get to a point where you need to have some automation in place to make sure that the right things are happening in the right order. Because if we don't have these systems in place, balls start to drop. The biggest reason we lose clients is lack of communication or misunderstandings, right? So see how Barb is just taking care of this. Here's what the seller, I don't know whether you drew this out in a napkin or a piece of paper, but that's the idea is, in a perfect world, when you list a house or even before you list the house, what should happen on day 1? What should be the next thing? What should be the next thing? What does this prospect or seller need to know? So it's absolutely going to happen by design, whether it's client number 1 or client number 1,000. And it's really nice to know that you've got this machine working so you can move on to other things, higher level things like recruiting and training the people on your team and working on your marketing and doing your radio show.
Right. And we built this series both for buyers and sellers. So it's the same thing for a buyer transaction. They're getting updates all along the way because we forget, because we do this all the time, that they don't do it all the time, right? They don't know where they're at. They don't know what happens next, basically. And so this whole thing was born out of people asking me questions.
Okay, that's very important. Everybody hear that? This is 20 years of Barb saying, every time she got a buyer or a seller calling you saying, hey, we're not sure of what's going to happen, or here's something we don't understand, Barb would say to herself, okay, I just learned something here today. That's going to be a new video. This is going to be a new email, a new step in the process to make sure that we never have a buyer or seller that is confused by this or that or doesn't understand this. And that's how you built this out, just based on the questions, the feedback. You knew exactly, okay, we need to plug that hole with this video or this instruction. And that never stops, really, right? Like every day we're learning and we're improving and we're tweaking this. So that's how we get great experiences with our clients. It's not by accident, it's by design. Yeah. Imagine if you just thought about, if everyone could just stop and think about what needs to be done when you first meet with a buyer or you first meet with a seller, and you could map that on just on a piece of paper. Okay, what are all the things that a buyer and seller needs to know day 1, day 2? What are all the how can we be preemptive with this? Okay, yeah. How can we work with intent to make sure that everyone, that we're building this wonderful relationship? This is not a transactional thing. This is going to be a client that's going to be a gateway to dozens or perhaps hundreds of other clients. That's the way we need to treat our business and have these systems in place. This is what people are like, well, how's Barb successful? There's a lot of reasons why. Radio, TV, marketing, but it's also what happens with the prospects and the clients behind the scenes that people don't see is why Barb has a huge, growing, successful real estate practice.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that. We do it now with Loom as well, where um, I found a weak area for me was keeping my active listing sellers updated if it wasn't selling, right? And I've tried direct mail where I'm okay, every other week we'll send a marketing email, and then we'll send direct mail of comps to make it. I actually got this from another coaching member, from Tim Evans. He goes, yeah, we found we were losing a lot of money from expired listings because we just weren't following up if they weren't selling enough. And so we started using video to do that. And basically, it's kind of a cool software where you can look over my shoulder, you can see the comps, and I'm talking to them personally about it. And I get price reductions. People love it. I have one client tell me, he goes, we can't wait for your videos because we can stop and start and talk about it. And it's kind of neat.
Yeah,
It saves time.
these are all such great ideas, and I hope everybody has been taking notes here. And remember, you can watch this over and over and over again. So, I recommend that you do this, and make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow me as I interview our superstars every single week. Barb and I have had a 20-year relationship.
Yeah.
It's worked very well, this relationship, for both Barb and I, and it can work for you as well. So if you're hearing from me for the very first time, thank you so much for watching the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show. We do appreciate your comments and your feedback. And you can email me. I'll give you everyone my personal email address. Pretty easy. It's craig@craigproctor.com. Down below, I'll make sure that Faith drops in all of my information and all of Barb's information. I will, again, invite everyone to book a call with me. Okay, you would be going to my Acuity Day Timer. You would simply book a day and a time that works for you. And we could have a conversation about where you are in your real estate business and where it is that you would like to go. One of the things that Barb and I bring to the table is experience. And today, I don't know why that isn't valued as much as it should be. I know real estate agents, you have so-called experts coming at you from all over every social media platform. And I'm going to ask everybody to slow down a little bit and ask yourself this question. Do you value experience and track record? Because there's a lot of bad advice being given to real estate agents right now from people that have never successfully sold real estate. Some of them never even had a real estate license. We believe in coaching. We believe that you should have a mentor. So whether your mentor is going to be Barb or Craig or whoever your mentor is, do a little bit of background research and say to yourself, first of all, do I respect this person? Is this someone I would like to mentor under? Has this person actually been successful doing the things they teach me? Or are they talking about something they've actually never done before? Lots of coaches and gurus in real estate right now talking about things they have no practical experience in. Somebody cannot teach you how to make millions of dollars in real estate if they themselves have never made millions of dollars in real estate. Just like I couldn't teach Barb how to be a great golfer. I could teach her how to be as good as me, which is not very good. So, if you wanted to learn how to play golf, you would want somebody that was really good at the game or is really good, or someone that's played the game, not somebody that read a book on how to play golf. So I want to thank everybody for trusting the last hour of your time with us. We do appreciate it. A big thank you to Barb for doing this interview. She's extremely busy. She didn't need to be here today. She is giving back to the Craig Proctor Network by her presence here today. So Barb, any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
Well, I think, it's probably the hardest industry to be successful in, just because there is this big vacuum of training. So what both Craig brings with his coaching and what I could bring locally to one of the other agents is, if somebody wanted to join my team, they don't have to market. All they have to do is just get trained and go out, take appointments, and make money. And that's how the system was set up. But if you're in another area, Craig is going to teach you exactly how you can market to get more business. And these are people that you don't know. So it's very valuable. I've always been so grateful to be a part of your program, Craig. I remember when I had a tough time, lost my parents within 5 months. And during those times, I couldn't work. But you know what? Because I had other agents, because I had my marketing going, my business stayed alive, which was really neat. I'm just so grateful that you help us in good times and bad times. Thank you.
Yeah, and we're all going to have those bad times.
Yeah.
Okay, we're all going to have times where things are going to happen in life. Not that, things that we don't want to happen, bad things are going to happen. And it's very important that we start thinking about systems and having a business that can withstand some of these challenges we're going to have during our worst days. So when you hang out with me, you don't just hang out with me. You hang out with my top people like Barb. We do conferences. We get together several times a year, and you get to rub shoulders with the who's who in real estate. You get to personally meet agents that are making millions and millions of dollars selling hundreds, sometimes thousands of homes. And the true value of the Craig Proctor Network isn't just Craig Proctor. It's Barb. It's all of the people that have been with me, many of them. I mean, it's incredibly, my top tier agents, about 70% of them have been with me for over 10 years.
Yeah.
Barb's been with me for 20 years. So these are long, strong relationships with the top real estate agents in the industry. And if you see the benefit of wisdom and experience and systems, and you want to learn from people that are actually in the trenches selling a lot of real estate, check it out. Reach out to Barb or reach out to myself. It doesn't cost anything to have a conversation. Just have an open mind and say, what if this is true? If I'm in Colorado Springs, sure, I could try to figure this out on my own. Or I could just join forces with Barb if it makes sense. And Barb will lay it out. You just plug yourself into an already successful business. If you're watching this and you're another part of the United States and Canada, you might say, well, how do I do what Barb's doing right now? How do I do what there's a pretty good chance, no matter where you are, what city you are in the United States or Canada, the dominant agent in your marketplace is a Craig Proctor member.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a Barb in your city, and watching this interview, you may start to figure out who those people are. But I do want to thank everybody so much for being with us here today. Please do follow me on social media. Follow Barb as well. If you want clues to how to have a successful real estate business, success leaves clues. So make sure you follow Barb as well. We'll have all of our information in the comments below. And Barb, thank you again so much for doing this today.
Thank you. And just a comment about the group and your members. They are so giving and so sharing. So that's one of my favorite things, to go to your events, because I learned so much during those events, and everybody gives, which you don't see that within a small market, but it's wonderful what you put together. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just like having this great family, and I'm so thankful that I've been able to attract these people and keep these long relationships that just keep getting better over the years. So thank you again, everybody. I am real estate coach Craig Proctor, and you've been watching